Stop scrolling, not just because it's bad for your mind, but it's destroying your posture. Most of us spend 8 to 10 hours a day hunched over our laptops, iPads, phones, whatever, and it's slowly turning us into the hunchback of Notre Dame. And not only does this look bad, but it's also destroying our movement capability. Here's a routine, a follow-along routine, that's going to address all these problems. So we're going to start on our front, and we're going to bring one knee out to the side, forming a right angle, and then we're going to twist around and bring both hands together. From here, you're going to imagine you're drawing a bow and arrow and reach the hand back behind you, turning your gaze towards that hand. Now, as you do these, you want to try and keep your core engaged and your glutes active so that the rotation comes through the upper spine and doesn't get dumped into the lower back. Nice. And really imagine you're drawing that bow and arrow and reach that hand back as far as possible. So you should feel this through the mid and upper back. Awesome, let's go to the other side. So you're now going to bring the left knee up, forming a right angle. If the pace of this video is too fast for you, just pause it, try the exercise and come back. So starting with the hands together, drawing that bow and arrow, keeping the hand close to the body, and then reaching back, turning the gaze to the hand behind you. And really essential to try to keep the glutes engaged, the pelvis tucked under, and the core active. Again, so we're just getting that rotation happening in the mid and upper back, which is an area that gets very tight from desk work because we're hunched. Cool, now what we're going to do is as we draw that bow and arrow, we're going to extend the leg, so that bent leg is going to straighten, and this is just creating this lovely kind of corkscrew twisting motion, like we're wringing out a towel, like we're just wringing that tension out through the spine that's built up throughout the day. So watch me as I extend the arms, as I reach behind me, I'm also straightening that leg, and these just feel so good. And let's do the same on the other side, so with the left side, so the left knee's coming up, and then we're drawing that bow and arrow, and we're straightening the leg as we reach behind the body. Same thing here, make sure your glutes are active, make sure your core is engaged. And we're creating a pretty cool shape here. Nice. Let's do one more. Good. Okay, let's come into a crab position. So you want to have your feet about 1 foot's distance away from your glutes, and then you're going to have your hands behind you, externally rotating the shoulders. Your hands are kind of facing away from the body. Now from here, you're going to bring your hips off the floor, and we're just going to do some openers here. So what we're going to think about is just squeezing the shoulder blades together and lifting the chest up towards the sky. And you might not be able to see here, but my hips are slightly off the floor. So we're just kind of closing, tucking the chin, and then really exaggerating that lift, squeezing the shoulders together. So we're literally pulling ourselves out of that hunched position, and we're strengthening the postural muscles that help us to maintain good posture throughout the day. And you'll see here I've got a nice extended spine as I go through these. Okay, we're then going to superset these with some glute strengthening. So one really common issue with sitting all day is that our pelvis gets locked into an anterior tilt. And one way to counter this is by strengthening the glutes. So what we're going to think about first is just rolling the spine off the floor. So trying to kind of just lift from the pelvis into the lower back, into the mid back, into the upper back. And what I'm doing here before this is just going through these pelvic tilts. So I'm just trying to tuck the hips under and then go more into that extended position. So I'm trying to just press my lower back into the floor and then bring the lower back off the floor. And these feel really good. And then I can go through that full motion where I'm rolling the spine up. As mentioned before, we're trying to feel that spinal segmentation. So starting from the pelvis, working our way into the upper back. From here, I'm going to bring one knee in towards the chest, and then I'm going to go with the other side. And I'm trying to keep my pelvis tucked under throughout here. And what we're getting here is an activation in the glutes and the hamstrings. And because of the way we set up, by rolling the spine up, we're really focusing on pulling the pelvis out of that anterior tilt. So an anterior tilt is when the pelvis tips forward and the lumbar is left in a somewhat extended position, which is where things like lower back pain kick in. So just holding for about 1 second on each side, really driving that knee right in towards the chest. Good. Now this is going to be a superset with those crab openers, so we'll come back to that position. So hands rotated back, hands behind you, hips slightly off the floor, and then opening yourself up towards the sky, squeezing the shoulder blades together, lifting with the chest, lifting the chin, and moving between that closed and that open position. Now at this point in the routine, there was a little bit of a distraction, and he's about to come in now. So just take a moment to rest while this cute little doggo came in to join the routine. What an absolute legend. Alright guys, let's come back to the routine. So we're going to go onto our backs, and you're going to go through that movement again, so flattening your lower back into the floor, rolling the hips up one vertebrae at a time, and then pulling your knee in towards your chest, getting that lovely unilateral activation through the glutes, so working one at a time. And this is great if there's any imbalances, because when you do a bilateral movement with both sides moving together, you might find that one side ends up working more than the other. So really important to get some single leg work in. Same applies for the upper body. Good. And while we're going through these, I just want to mention that I currently have availability for one-to-one coaching direct with myself. So if you're wanting to accelerate your progress, get some feedback on your movement, get an assessment to identify your problems and limitations, then just hit the link in the caption. Alright, we're going to stay on the floor, and we're going to come into a hollow body. So continuing to keep the lower back pressed into the floor, we're going to bring the knees into the chest, keeping the feet still low to the floor, and reach forward with the hands. This is going to activate your core, but it's going to activate the deep, stabilizing muscles through the core that help us to maintain good posture and not dump into our spines. The hollow body is such a fundamental, so it's really important to get this one right and to just build your hold time here. Cool. We're then going to flip round onto our front, and we're going to go into a Superman. Okay, so you want your arms to be in a cactus shape where you've got two right angles. You're then going to lift up with your chest, and then you're going to bring your hands off the floor and your feet off the floor. And what you want to think about is kind of rolling your hand back, so trying to externally rotate the shoulder, so keeping the elbow fixed, so the elbow is still in line with the shoulder, but then trying to pull your hands back. And getting this external rotation in this position is really going to help you to strengthen the mid-back, the rhomboids, the mid-traps, all these muscles that help us to maintain good posture throughout the day. And we're going to go back to the hollow body next. Okay, I haven't mentioned any specific times. Just go with these movements to about kind of 70% of your capacity. Okay, it's going to be different for everyone. So coming back to that hollow body position, feet off the floor, knees into the chest, lower back pressed into the floor, hands reaching forward, palms facing up. And really just think about really pressing the lower back into the floor to get that full core engagement. Now if this feels easy for you, what you could do is extend your legs out in front of you. But just make sure that if you are doing that, you're not losing that connection with the lower back and the floor. And coming back to the Supermans, we've got the arms out to the side in the cactus shape, forming two right angles, and then we're going to lift the feet off the floor and lift the hands and the upper body off the floor, and then trying to reach back with the hands and lift the chest up as high as possible. The Superman is such an underrated movement. It's one of the best movements to get your erectors fired up. So the erectors run along the spine and they help us to stay erect, which means upright. Q is in the name. So very, very valuable for being strong in good posture, essentially. You can then come into a cobra. Some of you might not be able to do a cobra like this, and it might be too too much for you, in which case come into a low cobra and just chill out in this position for a bit. So next we're going to come into some work through the thoracic spine. Okay, so what you're going to do from here is you're going to set up in a child's pose position. Okay, child's pose is great for recovery, for post workout stretch, but there's not really much activation going on. It's quite a passive position, so we're going to make it active as we always do. So from this position, you're going to try and lift off one hand at a time, okay, and really feel like you're kind of reaching up and forwards, okay, and this is going to activate your shoulder flexion, and it's going to activate your thoracic extension. So you're really trying to maintain a straight spine as you lift up. Your spine might want to round, but try and keep it as straight as possible. And if you need to be a little bit higher, that's absolutely fine. And we're going to hold for a few seconds on each rep, and it may be the case that your hands only slightly lift up from the floor. And try to just keep the spine stable as you do this. If you're moving from the spine as you lift up, especially if you're rounding, then the movement becomes a little ineffective. So it's kind of like you're scooping the hand up and forwards. A really great way to get that activation into the upper thoracic region. From here we're going to go through some squats. So come into a tabletop position and with your knees off the floor, and then we're literally just going to roll in and out of a squat. So walking the hands back, coming into a squat. Okay, if your heels stay lifted, just try and keep a nice straight spine, and then walking the hands forward, coming back into that tabletop, or also known as an active beast position. And with this, you're trying to maintain kind of a similar spine position throughout. So you actually kind of want to keep the spine locked in one place throughout the movement, and that's going to enable you to keep your core braced and your spine straight in your squat. And if you find that you're having to round your back, it just means that you're either going too low into your squat, so just come up a little bit higher, or it means that you need to just elevate your heels a little bit if your limitation is ankle mobility. So just try and find a position as you roll into that squat that allows you to maintain a nice upright posture. And you'll notice in my content on Instagram or on YouTube, that I always talk about how it's most valuable to move dynamically through a squat, not just sit in a squat. Otherwise you're just kind of squashed and passive, and you don't actually get anywhere with your squat development. Alright, coming back to those thoracic lifts, finding a child's pose, but then making it active by lifting up one hand at a time. And notice how my shoulders don't kind of lift up to my ears. As I mentioned before, it's more of a scooping sensation. It's like you're kind of pulling the lat forwards as you reach up with the hand, so you're not just lifting your shoulder up to your ear. With a lot of these movements, it's crucial to execute them correctly. There's so many exercises, routines, etc. online, and I think people get lost in wanting to try everything, but the real progress is made with mobility, especially when you just take a few exercises and you learn how to execute them correctly. And that's something that I offer with my online coaching, is I'll actually review your movement and take a look at videos that you submit to make sure that you're doing things correctly and giving you those essential cues and essential feedback that actually help you develop and make progress. So I'll stop rambling about online coaching, we'll come back to the video. So here I'm moving between the squat and the active beast, trying to maintain that core tension throughout, trying to maintain that spine position throughout, and you should feel that you are able to find a much better squat position after going through these dynamic movements. And yeah, you should find that you're able to just go deeper and deeper on each rep. And you just want to move with care and control, with the core fully engaged throughout. And that's it, guys. That's the routine. And hopefully after this, you should feel more upright, you should feel more connected in your body. And you can use this either before the workday to kind of prepare your posture for the day, or you could use it after a workday to correct any damage that has been done. And I felt pretty great after this. I hope you guys do too. Please hit the subscribe button and have a great day.